What up, y'all? You are listening to the Gopher Broke podcast. Kane, Rob here, Tristyn, Spann-Ford. We're here to talk Golden Gophers football once a week, every week for you. We just finished the holiday season. The schedule's a little thrown off, but I feel like y'all can respect that, knowing the holidays get crazy. But we're here to talk Golden Gophers. We're here to talk about predictions for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, also giving out awards for the 2024 season, and we've got some more transfers to talk about. All things Gophers are going crazy. How are you feeling right now, Tristyn? It feels like the season has been over, but it hasn't slowed down.
Oh, it's not over until it's over, my friend. I got bowls going on in the background right now. This is a great time. It's kind of like sporadic. Like we got NFL still popping, Saturday NFL. College is just sprinkled throughout the day. It's a good time. It's a good time. I love bowl season.
No, I feel you. Bowl season's always fun. Sometimes I forget, like it'll be a
Oh, yeah.
random Thursday and I'm like, oh wait, there's football going on right now. So definitely some background noise. Yesterday, 8th and Cali Madison, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights dropped their game. 8th didn't have great throwing percentages, but it was a good game overall, down to the wire. 44 Kansas State, 41 Rutgers, but we're not here to talk about either one of those schools, so I will move on. We're going to get some intro music. I guess we have intro music. We're going to get some lyrics to that coming up soon. That's my homework for the next part of this project. But I can say we are on streaming platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Pods. We're on Amazon Music. Wherever you can find podcasts, you should be able to find us. And if you can't, feel free to DM me at Gophers Kane Rob over on Twitter. I'll make sure we get up on that podcasting site as well. We want to get this podcast everywhere we can. And if you're listening on YouTube, please hit subscribe, drop some comments on thoughts or show ideas that you want to hear from this off season, because it's the off season. So we got to get creative with some of these topics moving forward. But we don't have to get too creative for this one, because the Gophers are killing it in the transfer portal right now. Since the last time we talked, they've added 4 more transfers. These are some big time guys too. We got offensive lineman Kali Tafai from Washington. We've got another offensive lineman, Dylan Ray from Kentucky. We got 2 wide receivers, Logan Loya from UCLA and Malachi Coleman, the one everybody's been talking about, from Nebraska. So some big time gets here for the Gophers. Now, last time we talked on the show, we had been like, hey, we need more O-line. We need depth. We need some big boys. They go and get 2 big boys in the portal. How are you feeling about that one?
Excellent. That's literally what I was. As soon as we were getting them, you texted me right away. I was like, oh, we got some size. These are huge dudes. Now, as we know, I'm not big into research, but I know that these are massive, massive guys.
Yeah, Kali is like 6'6",
330,
330, something like that, somewhere in there. But I was like,
it's
man, that's
crazy.
a big boy.
And he's got a lot of time left. That's what we kind of talked about before. I'm like, he's got a lot of eligibility to still play.
Yep, I think he's got 3 years.
It's gonna be. I'm super excited. It's like it's no longer my number one concern. I'm kind of more concerned about the other side of the ball now. We got to bring some more in over there.
I'm with you. Here's the thing. Hearing Kali Tafai's offers, North Carolina with Bill Belichick, UCLA, LA school, Arizona State, who's in the college football playoff right now, USC, another Cali school, Nebraska, Boise State, also in the college football playoff, and his former coach that he committed to, Kalen DeBoer's, over at Alabama. Those are some big schools for the Gophers to be in the running, and then to pull him off out of the portal. You got to think that is huge for this Gophers program. He has high upside. He only started in 4 games last year, but think about this. He is the same year, the same class, the same age as Phillip Daniels, and they both have 4 games of playing experience. It feels like that's almost an perfect insert or a perfect slide in to fill that high potential, to fill that possible starter role. And I am extremely encouraged by that one.
Yeah, I agree. Is the NIL money flowing? Because it was like back to 4-star. Like, what is going on? Like, Minnesota's destination.
I don't know what's going on there. And they keep that thing zipped up tight because they don't want any others to know where they're at and be competitive and know, like, oh, we can throw this much because Minnesota can only. So I don't think we'll ever have the complete answers, but it seems like it's going. I mean, you pull off a Kali Tafai, you pull off a Malachi Coleman, who we haven't even dove into too much. Now, look, there are some bitter Cornhusker fans out there. Like, it's time to get off of your soapbox. It's time to stop whining, stop crying, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, he couldn't even play here. He was benched. He sucks. He's going to look. He doesn't suck.
No.
That attitude is so stupid to me. I had a Georgia fan talk about I can't wait until he is riding the bench at Minnesota. And first of all, I'm like, you're a Georgia fan, bro. Why do you even care about this right now? Like,
Where are
what are
your
we doing here?
priorities at right now?
Well, like, where did you find? Where did he hurt you? Like Nebraska to Minnesota, but you're a UGA fan. But then I was like, let me go look at something real quick. So I looked at who transferred out of Georgia just last year, and AJ Harris transferred out. He only got like less than 100 snaps of playing time with Georgia as a cornerback. He transfers out, and if you're using that mentality, you're like, oh, he couldn't even play at Georgia. He's sitting on the bench. He's going to suck. Transfers to Penn State, all Big Ten player. Over 600 snaps the next season. Like, if you're going to use that mindset, it's so stupid. That's the whole reason he's transferring. He wants to get
Literally.
more playing time.
It's crazy. I was like, I'm watching it, and obviously he doesn't have that much film from this year, but all of his catches, he seems fast as hell. Like
He is
he's gonna be
fast,
so good. Like he's gonna be so good. So I don't.
bro.
Yeah, that hate that's a crazy hate. My man
I
is
saw
down
his
bad.
I saw Malachi Coleman's agent post on Twitter, and he was like, "This is the only dude I've ever seen hit his head on the backboard, not on purpose. Like he just was so far up there that it was just
Athlete,
like, bam! Like it's just
athlete.
like pure athlete, 6'5", speed out the wazoo, showed big time flashes. That film that you did see, it was actually from his true freshman season, not this past year, but the 2023 season. He didn't play at all this last year, which
Yep.
is kind of a question mark why Nebraska wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, dude's an athletic freak. He showed you the flashes. Was there tension? Was there issues off the field? Was there just a disdain with the offense changing? There's all sorts of things that could be the question marks there, but the dude has the talent. So if you want to come to Minnesota and take a swing at it where we
Let's
need
go.
wide receiver help, I'm
Let's
here
go.
for it. Other schools that were interested listed Miami, Michigan State, Oklahoma, Boise State, Iowa State. Like those schools, most of them throw the rock or have some little recognition behind their name. So
Yeah.
I'm all in it for Malachi Coleman.
Yeah. Shout out to PJ for making the moves to get these guys to go for these athletic wide receivers, knowing that it gives you hope that in the future, like we're going to continue to keep throwing the ball. We're not going to regress. Like
Right.
that's going to be my big thing next year is we cannot regress because this year was fun. I don't want to go back to the run. Although I
Right.
do
If
think Darius
anything,
Taylor is going to break 1,000 yards next year.
yes, I do too. And actually, I'm with you. I think we can run a little bit more compared to last year. We weren't very successful in this
Yep.
2024 season running the ball. If we can find the balance, I'm going to be stoked because PJ Fleck, in his time with the Golden Gophers, had never had a team that cracked the top 100 in the country for passing attempts. Not even in the top 100 for passing attempts. This year, we finished at 55th. Like, that isn't only breaking through that, never crossing the 100. He was like, screw it, let's go way up there. So that shows you the evolution. And now if you can sit maybe at the 70th, 75th, and then get the run game ticking up a little bit, that's where you find that real balance. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I do want to shout out Dylan Ray, interior offensive lineman. He started 2 games last year and 10 games in 2023, so he had a lot of SEC playing experience, and he had some elite games in the pass blocking area according to PFF as well. So even if he's not a starter, he has that depth that you need in the offensive line. So like you said, less of a worry there.
Oh yeah, I agree. And again, dude is massive. Like between these three guys, that's 950 pounds that we've like added to this offensive lineman room, and it's insane. Like,
Yes.
and the competition that he's playing there, like he's got to play Bama every year. He's got to play Georgia every year. Like he's playing real competition, so you know he can block it. He'll be able to block in the Big Ten.
For sure. I'm with you. And then finally, Logan Loya, ton of production. He's the leading wide receiver for UCLA over the past 2 years, 654 yards in 2023, which was his better year. But he saw 95% of his snaps from the slot in 2023, 68% in 2024. I think that's where he's going to play, is in that slot receiver position, which the Gophers haven't had a true slot really since Michael Brown-Stevens left. And I think that they've really been kind of searching for someone to take into that slot role. Now, last year we saw Daniel Jackson play there a little. We saw Elijah Spencer play there the most on the team last year. We saw Lemecki play it a little bit, but there wasn't a true slot receiver. Now I think you have one in Logan Loya, and I think that experience is going to be great for this team that is looking for experience in that wide receiver room. I think next show we're definitely gonna have to dive in to our thoughts of what this wide receiver room
Yeah,
looks like, who could start, who could be next up, because you're talking about Loya, you're talking about Javon Tracy, you're talking about Malachi Coleman, you're talking about Brockington, you're talking about Nuke Hayes, Kenrick Lanier. All these dudes are coming back tapped
every
in. Christian Driver, Tyler Williams. Like, I'm like, dude, there's so many wide receivers now. I was scared about this position, and now I'm like, who's gonna play? We got too many options.
literally just. I literally was thinking that. I'm like, Drake Lindsay is probably just sitting at home, like, yes, yes, I'm gonna have choice because you get Malachi on the outside, he's gonna beat anybody, and then like Logan running slot is gonna be sick. Like it's gonna spread everything out and give Drake. It's gonna be a dream for him.
Dog, I bet you every time someone was signing, PJ was sending Drake Lindsay a text like "Merry Christmas, Merry
Yep,
Christmas,
yep.
Merry Christmas." Oh,
It's
I can just see
crazy.
it. I can see it now.
It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, we are deep everywhere, and we've signed a ton of running backs too. So
Hmm.
we are we're set on offense. Like I said,
We just need
we,
that O line to show out. Like
yes,
we had
exactly.
high hopes for the O line this year. There were some
We
ups,
did.
there were some downs, but if they show out, this offense could be on track, and that's putting a lot of pressure on Drake Lindsay's shoulders as well. But hopefully, we will see all the growth that has happened in that 1 year he's had with Max Brosmer.
Yep, agreed.
All right, well, we're going to turn the page to next year, kind of. I guess we're turning to 2025 with this bowl game in January 3rd. It's so weird to see the Gophers playing in a 2025 bowl game, but I'm here for it. I'm happy
Yep.
for it. We're going to predict the bowl game here to close out the show, but first, I want to put a bow on 2024, and we're going to give out 2024 season awards for the Golden Gophers. So I'm going to throw out different awards for you here, and I want you to pick your player to win that award. So technically, we're giving out two awards for each one, unless we align and we're like, heck yeah, that guy has to be it. Then maybe
Which
we'll
I think a
one.
couple of them we probably will.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Some of them will be fun. Some of them will be pretty self-explanatory. The first one is in that category of newcomer of the year. Who is your newcomer of the year for 2024 for the Gold Gophers?
Again, this is somebody that I thought was gonna. You could put his name on a lot of awards, but this is a good one. It's Coy Parrish. First year comes out All American. He's balling 5 picks. Like I think he even had like 42 combo tackles. Like Buddy Ball. He did so well in his first year, and every time you saw him on the field, he was unflinching. Didn't even acted like he's been in college football for 5 years.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I mean, and also really big in the return game as well. And a lot of
Yes.
people were saying, like, oh, is he going to be ready? It's hard to play as a true freshman, blah, blah, blah. We've been finding a lot more guys stepping up to play as true freshmen. You're talking about Darius Taylor and Greg Johnson both played last year. Now you got Coy Parrish stepping in this year. They're finding them dudes, and Coy definitely showed up. I think newcomer of the year is definitely earned there. I'm going to give somebody else the award because we want to show love here on the
Always.
podcast.
Always.
So I'm going to give it to Max Brosmer because I don't think the Gophers find 7 wins or potentially could have had, what, 9, almost 10 wins on this season if they don't have Max Brosmer as the quarterback. Max Brosmer, I was just watching one of the NFL draft kind of breakdowns that I kind of respect and value their opinions. The NFL Stock Exchange with Connor Rogers, I believe is his last name, and Trevor Sikkema. They're with PFF, but they were given their top 10 quarterbacks heading into the NFL draft, and Max Brosmer came in at 11 for both of them. So,
Whew.
and that's with guys that are potentially not going to come out. Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, those guys cracked the top 10. They might not fully go to the draft, especially with Carson Beck's injury. I think that bumps Max Brosmer into the conversation. We're talking about, could we have a Gopher quarterback sneak into the draft in those late rounds in Max Brosmer? If you're saying all of that off of a 1 year quarterback, it's hard for me not to have him in the conversation for newcomer of the year. So I got him in there.
Love that. Love that.
All right, next award we have is the Pop Off the Page Award. This is the guy that you were heading into the year and you were like, bro, I didn't think this dude was even going to play. All of a sudden, he's got multiple snaps, he's got multiple production elements. He was just in there like swimwear. What is your Pop Off the Page player for 2024?
So my pop off the page, I had it as Max because I didn't know. It wasn't that I didn't expect him to play that much. I knew he was going to play, obviously, but I mean, his stat line was so much better than what I ever expected. And that's not anything against him as what he had coming into the season. It was just more of like, what are the odds? Like, what are the chances that we get this guy coming from a little bit lower level in college football and he comes up and puts almost 3,000 yards up this year? Like, I just didn't expect it. So that was my pop off.
All right, mine was somebody that I was hyping up into the 2023 season. He had a rough 2023. He came in this year, and I was like, you know what? I think people might pass him up. I think he might not even be the number two guy that we were expecting him to be. I think that he could lose out snaps to some of these younger guys. Maybe he finds himself at the bottom of a depth chart and off of opportunities. And he was like, yo, Kane, you can shut up with all that noise because I'm going to pop off the page. I'm going with Elijah Spencer. 46 receptions, 603 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the wide receiver one in this bowl game potentially. Daniel Jackson could still play, but Elijah Spencer definitely popped off the page
Oh
for me.
yeah.
He came in huge on third downs. I wish I would have looked into that number. I bet you if you go and look at the completions that he had on third down, he probably leads the team, which is an impressive stat on its own right. He found the holes in the zone consistently throughout this year. He stayed patient. He broke multiple tackles to find his way to the end zone on some of those scores. He was coming up huge in huge moments, and that's coming off of a spring where everyone's like, oh, he drops the ball too much. Oh, Elijah Spencer isn't this, isn't that. Like, he went out there and showed, look, I can do this at the Power 5 level, Power 4 level, just like I did it in Charlotte when I had a near 1,000 yard season. Just give me time and I'll show you I can do it. Definitely popped off the page for
Oh
me.
yeah. Oh yeah. He had awesome season.
All right, next award we've got is the Steady Eddie, the most consistent player for the Gophers on the season. Who is your Steady Eddie for 2024?
I gave my steady Eddie to Jack Henderson. He played all games, right? I don't think he missed any games. Or
He
did he
he
miss
had a
one?
weird one game where the coaches didn't really play him. I think it was the Michigan. It was either Michigan or USC. I thought it was super weird, but then he came back and balled out again.
That's fair. I was gonna say either way, consistency, consistency, consistency. Like, dude crushed it. He had 41 tackles. He had 7 TFLs and then one and a pick too. So it wasn't like he didn't have like 200 picks, but every week you could go out there and know he's gonna go do his job.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think that's a great pick. And mine is going to be the Gophers' leading tackler for the season, a guy who officially announced he is headed to the NFL in Cody Lindenberg. He played all the games this year. He had a full bill of health, which you love to see. He led the team in tackles in many of the games. He had one, two, three, four, 5 games of double digit tackles on the season. He also had his first career interception. He had a few pass deflections, but he always found a way to lead this defense, one of the best defenses in the country. And that's something that we'd been talking about for years is Cody Lindenberg could be the heartbeat of this defense. He could be the most important player of this defense, but we've never got to fully live that situation because of injuries or
Yeah.
because of this and that. We finally got it, and he was the heartbeat of the defense. He was an impactful player. He was having huge tackles, force stops, and all that. So Cody Lindenberg definitely my steady Eddie for the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to see him not in that secondary, but go get your money, Cody. Go get your money.
Go get that paper. All right, this is going to be one of my favorite awards right here because, look, every year that PJ Fleck has been out there in that transfer portal, he has been hitting far more than he misses. So I have the Portal Prince of the Year. Who is the best transfer portal player in your eyes for the Gophers this season?
I got Ethan Robinson. I mean,
Ooh.
again, a consistent player. He had 3 picks this year. Like 40 combo tackles, 41 combo tackles. He just balled out. Like he came in and immediately put himself with this secondary, like put him in the team. So I think he looked great this year.
I think that's a phenomenal pick. I think that a lot of people probably didn't appreciate how much Ethan Robinson stepped in for that Trayvon Jones role.
That's what I'm
Another
saying.
portal player who came in and balled out right away. Like PJ has been just knocking it out of the park with the portal additions. But Ethan Robinson, a phenomenal pick. 41 tackles, 3 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. I think he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th on the team in tackles.
Yep.
He was up there. Definitely a great pick. I think the easy pick on the other side of the ball for me is obviously Max Brosmer. I know we don't want to give everything to Max Brosmer because like it takes the fun away from the awards, but dude balled out. Right now he's currently 7th in single season pass yards of Gophers history. I think he's gonna easily surpass that after this bowl game. He could find his way into second or third if he had a huge game. 67% completion, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, took care of the ball. Look, Max
Yeah.
Brosman was a baller. I think we're all going to miss him. I think that it sucks we only got 1 year with him,
Yeah.
but man, absolutely portal prince for sure. And everything that was sold to us at this time last year when we were
Yeah.
told we're getting a new quarterback, FCS guy, everyone's like, oh, FCS, like who? New Hampshire, what does that mean? Then you looked at his numbers and you're like, oh, that's awesome, but we don't throw that much. And he was better than all of that. Like, yes, he might not have had 3,500, 4,000 yards like he had in New Hampshire, but he wasn't given the same amount of attempts. But the big things that people did recognize is his pre-snap and post-snap reads, his adjustments, his changing of at the line of scrimmage, the way he took over this offense. Like, bro, like slow
It,
clap, hand, like
oh, yes.
respect to you.
In 1 year to come in and have everyone on the same page, like playing for you, you could tell he was for his guys. He was playing for them. They were playing for him. It was awesome. He came in a leader right away.
Absolutely. Even talking to your brother at the pro day last year, he was like, "Bro, he's a guy. Like they got a good one." And I was like, "Okay, if Brev came, like Brev's not going to come and gas some dude up just to
No,
gas him up because he's a Gopher." Like he was like, he was like running things for our pro day workouts. It was phenomenal. He was excited for him. So I knew it was going to be real from that moment, and then we got to witness it firsthand. And man, it
it was
was
great.
fun. All right, the next award, Tristyn was having troubles finding a player
Yeah.
for this award, but it's a fun one. It's the Velma Award. And people might be like, bro, what does that even mean? Look, man, if you're looking at Scooby Doo, you're watching the show and everything like that, everybody gives props to Scooby because he's the dog and all that. Everybody loves Shaggy because they're homies. Everybody talks about Fred because he's the leader. Everybody talks about Daphne because she was the damsel in distress, but everybody, everybody knew her. And Velma's the one doing all the work. Velma's the one
All of it.
putting in all of the, oh, here's this evidence, here's this, here's that, here's how we prove it. But Velma never got no love.
No.
So this award is the person that does a lot of work, but doesn't get enough love, maybe from the fan base or from the outside world. So who gets your Velma Award?
I'm going to go with Devin Easter. Like you said, this was a tough one for me, just picking wise, because I don't want to make it seem like he wasn't a dog. Like, he was recognized by us for sure as a dog. But Devin Easter, like, numbers aren't insane pop off the page. But if you watch the games, he's a game wrecker. Like, he takes away guys from the field. Like, they have to respect him. So I am going to go with Devin Easter.
Devin Eastern is a fantastic pick. I mean, this dude was a huge reason on why the run defense recovered. If you looked at the beginning of the season and you're like, bro, our run defense is terrible. We're going to get
Terrifying.
gashed. Caleb Johnson just tore us a new one. Omarion Hampton tore us a new one. You got beyond that Iowa game. Maybe Michigan got a little running yards on us, but after that, the run game started to come together. They finished top 30 in run defense, and I think Devin Eastern was a huge key to that. So I'm definitely going to give him a shout, but I'm going to give this award to somebody else just to keep the love going. I'm going to give it to Aiden Gooseby. And like
Okay.
some people might be like, "Yo, what? Like what did you do?" But I was not a hater of Aiden Gooseby by any means, but I didn't see him getting the opportunity to play for this Gophers team. I thought Coy Parrish was going to be in there right away. I thought Kerry Brown was going to be in there right away. And I thought maybe Coleman Bryson took a role in this defense. Aiden Gooseby, when he was healthy, always had a starting role on this team, always had an impact on this team. And he found moments. He had big interceptions in some of these times. And he really showed me and others, like, look, I'm here. I'm in this. I'm a part of this. I'm a reason why we're having success. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I'm going to show some love. Aiden Gooseby, 23 tackles, pass deflection, interception. Without the injuries, he probably even adds to those numbers. So overall, I'm going to give love to Aiden Gooseby.
No, that's a great pick because I feel the same way, and it's based off of literally that North Carolina game last year
Mm-hmm.
when he was. I don't want to disrespect him because he played very well, but we all have bad games, and he was getting cooked that game, and I was like, "What is going on? Who is this?" And then after watching him this year, the improvement has been so much better. Again, that was one game, but still, That's what it sticks in my head. It sticks in
For
my head.
sure. No, I agree 100%. That's probably part of the reason why I was like, he's not going to have a shot to
Yeah,
really
so
compete
that's what
in
you
this room.
remember.
Right. It's you have that bad taste in your mouth. But I just talked about how Elijah Spencer, everyone's like, oh, drops this, drops that, blah, 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 like changed the narrative. Aiden Gooseby, I think, also changed the narrative in a positive way. And I think he'll still compete for snaps and rotation and whatnot in this Gophers defense next year. So I'm really looking forward to him. Definitely a good
Oh yeah,
Velma Award candidate. All right. The next award is the PJ's Guy Award. A player that you didn't think was going to have a huge impact on the season, but surprisingly they contributed. They found their way on the field a lot. Maybe you still are like, whoa, like he's on the field? Like, who is the guy that you're like, you know, he's a dog. He does this nitty gritty work behind the scenes, and he is PJ's guy.
I'm gonna stick with the D line on here, and I'm actually gonna go with Anthony Smith.
Ooh.
Again, it's not that I thought he wasn't going to play, but you talked about him. I remember talking about him last year. And again, I'm not as in depth with all these guys as you are, but I just remember you talking about him last year and talking about he's going to take that step this game. He's going to take that step this game. And I think this year he was consistently in there. Like he was, a game changer on the defense, whereas he was kind of under the radar still. Like obviously the numbers aren't mind blowing, but I think he had a really great season.
Yeah, no, he took the step. He took the
Yeah,
step for
literally,
sure.
he did.
My PJ's guy is going to go to Marcus Major. Heading into the season, I thought it was going to be Darius Taylor, C.A. Bangura, Jordan Newbin. Like, those were going to be the dogs. Marcus Major was kind of behind the eight ball because he was injured in the spring sessions. He comes into the fall, and people are having their eyes on him, and they're like, oh, he looks kind of nice. But I was still like, I don't know, man. I don't know if he can catch the rock like CA can. I don't know if he's going to contribute. He only has 1 year of eligibility left. Like, I just don't know if he's going to find himself in a role. Basically, what happened with Jared Mangham, the running back who transferred
Yep.
in from Michigan State, I thought a similar thing was going to happen with Marcus Major. And he was like, showing consistently, no, I can be that guy when you need me to be. I can take over when you need me to. When Darius Taylor's hurt, I can keep the run game going. When we need a big play or a touchdown or a spell, I'm right there. And I think he definitely earned PJ Fleck's respect. I think he definitely found his way on the field more and more because of that behind the scenes mentality. So he's my PJ's Guy award.
Yeah, I like that. And Marcus Major too. I think it's got to be a weird. I've never been in this situation, but like it's got to be a weird dynamic in a running back room where one of you is kind of the bell cow, and when you're both at the same skill level. I think they're both Darius Taylor and Marcus Major are both awesome players. I think it's got to take a certain type of player to have that mind state of being like, okay, when it's my time, when it's my time. Like this third
Mm-hmm.
down here, like DT's got to come out. I'm gonna kill it. Every rep I get is gonna be consistent, and that's exactly what he was.
Yeah, limited reps, but all the
Yep,
effort. And I think that's
exactly,
definitely
exactly.
what this
It's
culture is.
huge.
Yep, yep. All right, we have one, two, three, four, five awards left. The next one is a little bit fun for ourselves. The My Guy Award. Who is your guy this year that you're just like, yo, I'm stamping it. Like, I think he's gonna ball out. He's my guy. Any game, I want him to succeed. I want him to be the best possible player. Or it could be a star. It could be somebody in the on the rise. Who is your My Guy for 2024?
This one was easy. Danny Strigow. And
Mm.
that's I got a soft spot for them D linemen, as we know. But dude is a dog. He's an animal. And every single game, I was just like, man, I hope he has like 4 or 5 sacks today, like just for fun, just for fun. But yeah, like that game wrecker ability is everything for me. So Danny
This
Strigow.
one, yeah, this one was super easy for me too. It starts with Dan as well, and it's Daniel Jackson.
Yeah,
Look, man, I Daniel Jackson has been one of my favorite Gophers to watch over the past 2, 3 years. Like just the consistency, the growth, the eye-popping catches, and all of that. But then you look at his route running, you look at his separation. These teams know the ball is going to him, and he still is like, yeah, "This is my ball. I don't care. Put it on this side, put it on that side, put it on the out of bounds line. I'll keep both
yep,
my toes in." Like Daniel Jackson is the type of player that I'm like, I want him to thrive in the NFL. I want him to just absolutely get everything that is coming for him because the dude he doesn't get enough respect from a national perspective. The fact that he got left off of the Big Ten teams is a disgrace. It is a travesty, and I will say that till my dying breath. Like, that is absurd. But this is a guy who came in and set records in the program history. I believe he's in top 3 in receptions. He's top 3 or 4 in yards. Like, when you look back and you talk about Daniel Jackson, people aren't necessarily going to think like, oh, that was a Gophers wide receiver one, but he was almost every time he was on the field, aside from maybe his first year or so. Like, even competing with guys like Brev, even competing with guys like Chris Bell, he still found a way to continue to put up better production each and every year that he was going throughout his college career. And I don't think enough can be said for that. I hope he gets drafted on day 2. I mean, I think he'll probably end up day 3, but I think he is going to be a gem. And personally, I think he has a better, more translatable skill set for the NFL than Tyler Johnson had, than maybe Rashad Bateman had. Rashad's starting to ball out now, so I love to see it. But I think Daniel Jackson is an under the radar guy who I will probably be my favorite Gophers receiver for all of history.
I was going to say he's definitely unforgettable. Like, when you look over at the film, it's almost like the harder the catch was, the more chance he had of catching it. It was the craziest thing. Like, when everything defied reality, like his toes are like on the line. He's got 3 receivers around him, but something in his brain is like, oh, I'm going to catch this. Like, it made it easier for him. It was weird.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it.
I agree 100%. There's so many moments where you're like, how did he do that?
His body's twisted
Right.
backwards, and it's
Or
just
like
insane.
you talk about just the deep balls where he's running and he's making the DB think he's just running him off. All of a sudden, last second, boom, turns his head, and it's just like the natural instincts with this guy is beyond impressive. And I think Gophers fans are desperately going to miss him moving forward.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're going to fly through these next few 2025 players step up. Who is a player that maybe didn't get a lot of time this year, maybe didn't get a lot of opportunities, but you think could be a starter next year, could be a dog, could be that next man up mentality?
Going back to the D line, I'm very excited about Jackson Howard. I'm really excited. I mean, I feel like even when he was getting recruited, the hype was so high on him. Goes to LSU, doesn't really get that many reps, comes back, and I think he's got an opportunity where he's 2 years bigger and stronger than when we offered him the first time. And he's from Minnesota. His people are here. Like, I think that'll be a huge, big time player.
I like it. I love the pick, and I love that he's kind of a Minnesota dude through and through. He's a culture guy. He is the guy that made an impression on Coach Debo right away. I'm really looking forward to him as well. But my player for the 2025 player step up is Zaquan Bryan. Some people who have listened to me on Lockdown and now here are probably like, yo, you've been talking about Zaquan. Like, I love him off the field. I love him on the field. The dude's a dog. I've watched his high school film. I've watched his college snaps that he's gotten to have. He's a playmaker, and when he gets the opportunities, even on some of the punts, like last year, there were times where we could pin the ball inside and we didn't get the opportunity because the players were in the wrong position or they didn't get there fast enough or things like that. He's the guy who's pinned down a lot of those inside the 5-yard line punts. Like, he contributes in ways that matter. He has the speed. He has the mentality that he just wants to get better and better and better. And I think that's why the Gophers I'm sure they've went and tried to address the cornerback position in the portal, but you see they're like, here's a wide receiver, here's a wide receiver, here's a wide receiver, here's an O-line, here's a whole. You don't see the panic at that cornerback position. They did bring in one guy. He's a little light, but I think he's going to be a good contributor. But I think they're probably going to add 1 or 2 more corners. But I think they do feel comfortable knowing that Zaquan Bryan, Ryland Kelly, and Mike Gerald are in this cornerback room moving forward. And Zaquan is that next guy up behind Justin Wally, behind Ethan Robinson. And I think he's going to show a lot of people in this bowl game, but also next season as a starter for this Gophers team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And yes, I am one of those people who is also like, you've been talking about Zaquan Bryan. You've been talking.
Hey, you just said I kept saying about Anthony Smith, and
that's
what
true.
happened?
You call your shot. You know ball. You know ball.
All right, our final 3 awards: Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and the 2024 MVP. Who is your Defensive Player of the Year?
We're gonna have all the same answers on these ones, are we not?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go Coy. Obviously,
Okay.
All American. We talked about him. We've talked about him almost every week since he stepped on the field, and that's for a reason. Like he is that guy. I hope he remains electric, and he dominated this year on defense. So that's my guy.
We do agree on this one. I'm going to give it to Coy
Yep.
Parrish as well. You're a first team All American. You are a first team All Big Ten as a true freshman, lead the team in interceptions. Like, I'm not going to argue against that. Like, plain and simple, like, it's scary how good this dude could be.
Yep. Yep.
Going to Offensive Player of the Year. We might differ here. Who is your pick for Offensive Player of the Year?
Oh, I'm going Max. I hate to be like, obviously we talked about it, but we got to give these guys an. If I'm going to be honest, my offensive player of the year is Max Brosmer. I mean, none of that happened this year without him. The way he threw the ball, the confidence, actually he took care of the ball, like that's it.
For me, I'm gonna go Darius Taylor, and I know that might be a little bit shocking for some people because of how much Max was involved and everything like that. But I think Darius Taylor was the difference in some of these games. You talk about games where he had over 100 yards; those were some of the critical games where we really truly needed him. The Wisconsin game, he made it feel easy for us. The Illinois game, where we're playing a ranked team, he had 131 yards on the ground with a touchdown, 58 through the air. I think the ability that he had in the pass game turned a lot of these games into wins for the Gophers. You talk about the USC game, 144 yards plus 56 through the air. I think 124 yards and 37 on the air for Nevada. I think that it's undervalued how much his dual threat ability gave this Gophers team wins. And I think if Darius Taylor's healthy for that North Carolina game, it's a win easily. I think if Darius Taylor actually gets the looks and the touches in the Rutgers game, where it seems like the Gophers were kind of leaning off of him because of maybe an injury or things like that. We had talked about it a little bit at the time, but he only had 10 carries and 2 receptions in that game. I think if they use him the way they typically use him, they win that Rutgers game. I think he is the offensive player of the year because he contributed to winning, and maybe people overlooked it a little bit.
I totally agree with you. I think I do think, I mean, like what you said, it was somewhat of a down year, but I will remind people there's another Gopher running back who also second year was not that impressive, and his name is Mo Ibrahim. So if anything correlates here, we're looking at 1,000-yard back for at least 2 more years.
Well, let me give you this too. If he can get, I think it's 127 yards this weekend, which is this week, which is completely doable. He's a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
How close he is right
quiet.
now. He
had a quiet year, but it was still super efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm with you. All right, finally, we're doing the MVP of 2024. Who do you got here?
It's tough, and I feel like I just keep regurgitating it. But I'm gonna go Coy. I'm not gonna dive into it. I'm gonna go Coy.
I'm going to go Brosmer. This is why I didn't pick him at the offensive player of the year, because I think that overall he's probably the MVP for this offense and was a huge difference maker in the critical moments. I think he had 3 or 4 game-winning drives, or at least the opportunities against Michigan, USC, UCLA, absolutely dominated Maryland. Like, dude was extremely impressive, so he's my MVP.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's wrapping it up on 2024. We're moving to 2025. We're talking about the Duke's Mayo Bowl, where PJ will get dunked on in Mayo. You can already tell where that final prediction is going to go, but how big will it be? I'm excited to see what these score predictions are, but let's dive into the game itself and some of the numbers first. So as we used to do on Locked On, we'll definitely get it here. Any spicy takes for the week?
I don't have anything spicy, just because I'm very nervous about what we're going to get from Virginia Tech. I'm not nervous about playing them, but is it going to be Pop Watson? Give me some info. Like, if it's Pop Watson, I'm a little nervous. That's a good name.
It's a good name. That's the only reason he's nervous. It's all in the name.
It's a good name. If you lose to Pop Watson, it's like, well, yeah, it's Pop Watson.
No, but if you can't hear the Virginia Tech fans over and over talking about Pop Watson. We got to whoop their ass. No questions about it. My spicy take for the week is that Darius Taylor is going to hit 1,000 yards on his season. I think he's going to have over the 120, whatever he needs. I think he's going to run all over this team, and I'm looking forward to it. Just like last year's bowl game, you give him time to rest, time to really break down what the other team's defensive tendencies are and things like that. The only reason I could see Darius Taylor maybe not having that much rushing production is because this is Max Brosber's final game in a Gopher uniform, and I could see PJ and them really giving him the opportunity to not only thrive and throw the ball around and whatnot, but also to helpfully help him boost that draft stock. Because if he does boost that draft stock, it not only helps him moving forward and the Gophers program moving forward because they can get a quarterback drafted if that happens, but also to talk to recruits and say, look, you can
Yes.
do it from here if you ball out. So
Yeah.
I think that PJ will probably give him the opportunities, and that's the only thing I could see maybe slowing down the rushing effort from Darius Taylor.
I do like PJ. Okay, my spicy take is actually then I'm going to be, this is what I kind of caught up with. We're going to see at least one fun trick play.
I think
PJ's
that's
good
fair.
for it in a bowl game. Like he's probably one of my favorite coaches actually to watch in a bowl game because it's not there's no conservativeness about it. It's like, yeah, we're gonna throw Daniel Falele at running back. Like we're gonna do some fun stuff because it's a bowl game. See, some of these guys last game, like it is what we talked about. It's a celebration of the season. Like we're gonna win and we're gonna win fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like that call. I like it. All right, so we're going to move into the predictions officially. The first question I have for you is, do you think that the Gophers prevent Virginia Tech from scoring on their first offensive drive?
Yes, I do. This defense is very sound.
I think so as well. I don't think Cody's going to play. I don't think Justin Wally's going to play. I don't think Josh Joyner's going to play. That's a lot of new starters in those positions, but I do think this defense is for real. I think that Corey Heatherman having the time to scheme for this team is going to be huge, and I think that it's going to be a struggle to score on this Gophers defense, especially on the first or second drives.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I do think there's something to be said though that these guys are still on the sideline at the game. Like there's not like they almost get into that player coach mode where you can see those guys who have opted out still sitting there and coaching. They're in the meeting still like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what we're seeing.
Right.
So I think there'll still be some. We've had opt outs before in bowl games. And I think they'll be fine.
All right, next question is, do you think Daniel Jackson plays? So far, we've gotten the NFL draft post from Cody. We've gotten it from Ariante Ursery. We've gotten it from Justin Wally. I think we may have gotten it from Josh Joyner. If we haven't, we got his Senior Bowl thing, which is basically the same thing. But I haven't seen Daniel Jackson's official, like, Gophers fans, I'm declaring for the draft. So I'm curious, do you think he's going to play in this? He is really close to, I think if he gets over 115 yards or something like that, he would probably be third all time, passing Ron Johnson in the receiving yards category. Do you think he plays this game and adds to it, or do you think that he kind of is like, no, I'm going to stay healthy and make sure I'm ready for this draft?
I would love to see him on the field, but I think that he would probably opt out. Unfortunately, I just think there's so much money involved for him, especially where you could get drafted, like we talked about, potentially second day, and anything dumb happens where you tweak something, and then you go to now you're at the third day or maybe no days at all,
Right.
and you don't want that situation. I think it'll break his heart, and he probably doesn't want to opt out, but I would think he would.
I'm with you 100%. I think that the smart play is just to play it safe because you're already going to be scrapping for draft territory and trying to get
Yes.
into the draft, and there's no reason to risk that. And I don't even think PJ Fleck and them would want him to risk that. Like, they would 1000% enjoy him being on the field. And if he's like, I want to be on this field, they'll let him be on the field. But I think when it's all said and done, they all would look at, look, we want you to thrive in your next opportunity, and we want to make sure you're 100% good for that. You got to do a pro day still. He's probably not going to get offers to the combine or things like that. So he's going to need to really show out in that pro day environment to really help boost himself. And so I think you start that work now.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like he's got to boost the draft stock.
All right, next question. Will Pop Watson break 200 passing yards in this game?
You
Pop
talk about
Watson,
Pop Watson?
Pop Watson.
Pop
I learned
Watson?
Pop Watson. They told me I was going to learn Pop Watson, and I
Pop
learned.
Watson is not going to break that. It's
Dude,
just
we're
not going to.
we're agreeing too much on this. We're not going to
No,
have a
it's
winner on the predictions. I also say he won't. He's only had 2 starts so far, and in those 2 starts, 146 yards in one, 254 in the other. So I mean, he's a 50% hit rate in those 2 opportunities. But the defenses were Duke and UVA. Duke's better than UVA. He didn't break 200. UVA not very good at defense. He broke 200. Gophers have a good defense. I think it's simple math here. No
Yes.
200.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
All right, Max Brosmer, other quarterback. Will he get over 250 yards in this game?
Yeah, I think he will. Like we talked about, I think they're gonna open the playbook, and we have guys at receiver, even if Daniel Jackson doesn't play. Like we do have guys, so 250 seems too easy. It feels too easy. I think we're gonna dominate. I really feel so good about it.
I'm going to say no just so we don't go step for step every step of the way. I definitely think he could for the reasons I said, like giving him the opportunity to show out for the NFL and hopefully get his draft stock boosted a little bit to give him a good send off in his final Gopher game. That being said, I do think Darius Taylor could ball in this game, and I still think he gets over 200, but 250, maybe they start to reel it back and start to be conservative and run the ball and get Darius touches, maybe get Fame Ejeboy some touches, a future running back in the room. Jordan Newman's gone. Who else transfer out? CM Bangura's gone. I don't think Marcus Major is going to play. He declared officially for the NFL draft. So that means your freshman Fame Ejeboy is probably the second running back, and he doesn't burn his red shirt in this. And PJ Fleck has been super excited about that dude. So I think overall, maybe he gets some opportunities in this game. I'm going to say under 250, but I would love it if he goes over.
That'd be sweet.
All right. Do the Gophers get an interception? And if so, who gets one?
I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna guess. I mean, why don't we just keep the theme of the show going? Give me one for Coy.
All right, I'm going to go yes, and I'm going to go with my 25 player to step up in Zaquan Bryant. I think he's going to be one of those players. Like I said, we've always had a player that pops off in the bowl game, and it's like their coming out party. It's their day where you're just
Yes.
like, oh, there it
Like,
is.
oh, we got this guy next year?
Right, exactly. And I think this could be his moment. So I'm going to call that one. I like that call. Next question. How many rush yards does Darius Taylor have against the Virginia Tech Hokies?
I'm gonna say one. How many did you say he needed to get to 1,000?
I believe it's 127.
I'm gonna say 113. I think he gets close, but I don't think he's gonna get it.
I'm going to say 135 is what Darius Taylor finishes for rushing on this day. All right, we've got a couple questions left. First, who leads in tackles?
Oh, I mean, who's out? Is Danny Strickle playing?
I don't know. He could be. It's a risky pick, but he could be.
Jack Henderson?
Again, he
I,
could be. It's a risky pick. But
if Jack Henderson plays, I'm going Jack Henderson. And if Jack, yeah, I'm going Jack Henderson. Jack Henderson, if he doesn't play, but that's my pick.
I'm going to go with Maverick Baranowski. I think he's going to step up in Cody's departure there. So I'm going to go with him. Who scores the first touchdown? Only get one pick. You don't get two picks this time. You only get one pick. Who is your touchdown?
I like that. I'm going to go tight end. Jameson Gears.
All right.
That's fun. Bowl game. Let's go, baby.
I'm going to go with Darius Taylor. That's my boy. He's going to get it done. All right, finally, we're not going to do defensive player. We're not going to do offensive player. What we are going to do is who is your call for the bowl game MVP?
Ooh. That will go to, I think it's just going to go to Max then. I'm going to go Max. Yeah.
You got me there. You got me.
Hey, somebody get two picks? What if somebody got two picks? That would have given it to them. D player?
Huh?
I said it could be a defensive player. There's other options other than Max, but it's probably going to be.
I'm going to go with Quay Parrish. You had mentioned, do you think this is going to be his kind of shout to the world with extra eyes on him, being in a bowl game that everybody likes to watch? He's going to be returning kicks. He's going to have a way to get an interception. I think he's going to ball out. He's going to show why he is such a highly recruited All-American type player. Quay Parrish, bowl game MVP, just makes too much sense.
I like it.
All right, the final thing. What is your score prediction for this Virginia Tech versus Minnesota game?
I have been wrestling with this, and I'm just going to take the shot that I want to take because it seems too big, but I'm just going to go for it. 35-11.
Ooh. Does seem
Only
big,
because
especially the 11 is what's throwing me off here.
11. Well, that's because
You got a safety in there, or what are we
no,
doing?
no, no. Wait, 11. No, that's two field goals. Two field goals
2 field goals is 6 points,
and a touchdown.
and a touchdown is 7 points. That's 13.
13. I want 13. Why do I have 11? I literally was doing that math in my head. Hey,
Math is hard, folks. Kids
I'm a
stay in
football guy.
school.
I don't do stats.
Stay
I'm
in
not a
school.
stats guy.
All right, I'm going Gophers. Initially, I had 31-17, but I'm gonna bump it up. I'm gonna go 38-21. That feels huge.
21?
That feels huge. I'm going to go back to my initial. I'm going to say 31-17. That feels a lot better. 31-17 in favor of the Gophers. Pop Watson, I'm sorry, but it's not your time.
I think they do one touchdown, and then the field goals, I think they sprinkle in a couple just because we get so shaky on third down all the time. Like, we just give up random third downs. It's crazy.
It's true. It does happen. But that's going to do it for us. That's going to wrap up our predictions. Next week, we're going to have some fun talks. We're going to talk about, we've already teased it a little bit. We're going to talk about, is Max Brosper a Gopher great? We're going to talk about that after the bowl game to see where he stands in the all-time single season yards. We're going to talk about thoughts on Coy Parrish. There's been some stuff out there saying he's really committed to home, wants to be here. And as long as the Gophers put themselves in contention, not necessarily get to the college playoff, but if they put themselves into contention, he'll be sticking around. I want to get your thoughts on that, Tristyn. And we're also going to talk about some things to come, maybe how that wide receiver room could shake out with so many talented players. But you're definitely going to want to hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. Follow wherever you get your podcasts at the Gopher Broke Podcast. We appreciate y'all for listening. If you have other ideas on what you want to hear on the show, drop them in the comments over on YouTube or send me a DM on Twitter, or Tristyn if you really want to send him a DM. He might not guaranteed to look at it, but he'll.
Hey, I'll be lingering on Twitter. I do my best. I do my
He
best. I just
lingers.
don't
He's lingering.
linger. I'm a like and retweet guy. I don't really never share my own thoughts. This is the only place. This is the only place you're going to get my thoughts right here. So
You heard it here
subscribe.
first. So that's why you have to hit subscribe. Exactly.
Exactly.
My boy knows how to get the listeners going. But we'll see you next time. Until then, row the boat, Sky Ma, go Gophers.